The Valley of Death. The sister of a woman lost in the Texas flood speaks of faith in times of tragedy. Those stories and more on EWTN News Nightly for Wednesday, May 27th, 2015. Pope Francis releases his encyclical or major teaching on the environment in a few weeks. As Jason Calvi reports tonight, some Catholics already find innovative ways to be good stewards of God's creation.
Franciscans live here at the St. Anthony Shrine in Maryland. A lot has changed since Charles Carroll owned this land. He was the only Catholic signer of the Declaration of Independence. Inside, there are many things that drain energy, but the friars still managed to save more than 30% on their electric bill.
So we're talking about between 25,000+ a year savings.
Wow. The buildings are powered by a field of solar panels, about 1,200 of them. But the upfront cost for the friars was zero. That's because a company called Solar City installed all of these. Solar City owns the panels, and the Franciscans pay the company a discounted rate for the power they consume. As part of their contract, the friars will be able to buy the solar panels in 6 years. Shrine director Father Michael Heine says they're following the charge of their founder.
And we know that St. Francis was a great lover of the earth. His Canticle of Creatures praises all creation. And so we figured that, again, one of our small parts that we can do to help with the preservation of the earth and to produce our own energy and use Brother Sun, as Francis would call him, to put in these solar panels.
To power their ministries, to reflect the light of Christ in a way St. Francis or Charles Carroll couldn't have imagined. Jason Calvi, EWTN News Nightly.
Up next, a bishop deeply involved in the process explains the agreement reached between the Holy See and women religious leaders. And small local breweries resist the urge to grow out of their communities. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. From today's Gospel, Mark chapter 10, verse 45. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday evening, May 27th. I'm Brian Patrick. This week, we explore the recent agreement between the Holy See and the organization representing about 80% of religious sisters in the U.S. We visit with some of the sisters involved tomorrow, but tonight we talk with one of 3 bishops directly involved in the talks. It's a blessing to be joined tonight by Bishop Thomas Paprocki of Springfield, Illinois. Bishop Paprocki is a canon lawyer, one of 3 bishops who work with the Leadership Conference of Women Religious on Reforms. And Bishop Paprocki, could you please clarify what exactly this assessment was addressing? There's been some confusion.
Yes, that's a very important point to make the distinction and to clarify that there are actually 2 different things that were going on here. There was the apostolic visitation, which was being conducted by the Holy See, which really looked more at the internal life of the communities and their mission and their apostolic activities, whereas the doctrinal assessment that was commissioned by the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith had a much more narrow focus and really was looking at questions of doctrine, beliefs that pertain to the Leadership Conference of Women Religious, which is an umbrella group of the major superiors, the leaders of these various religious communities. It was focused primarily at looking at some of the things that were being done, for example, their annual assemblies where they would bring in speakers and some of the papers that they would issue. And so it was looking at the content of the doctrine that was in some of those papers and some of the speeches.
This was to be a 5-year process, yet it ended in 3 years. Was it actually cut off or did it complete its process?
No, it was not cut off. In fact, we were told by the staff at the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith that at the very beginning that they hoped we could do this in 3 years. But as we all know, things often take longer than you hope. And so they didn't want to just give a 3-year term. And then we found at the end of 3 years, we would not have perhaps finished our work and we would have had to ask for an extension. So what they said was, we'd like you to finish this in 3 years. We'll make it a 5-year mandate just in case you need a little more time. But actually, we finished it within the anticipated and hoped for period of time.
We'll have more with Bishop Paprocki tomorrow as we also sit down with 4 sisters in leadership positions to hear their perspective on this. Meanwhile, tonight, A small Maine brewery resists becoming the big guy to stay connected with the community. Catherine Zeltner reports on how Americans crave local tastes.
Customers line up early at this brewery in southern Maine. They're waiting for the green light for fresh, local beer. Owner Dan Kleben sees his small brewery as part of something bigger and not just among foodies.
And the craft beer revolution that's taking place right now is in large part a product of consumers' desire to be connected with the things they're eating, the things they're drinking, the things they're wearing.
But unlike the big craft breweries, which continue to gain market share, this operation is part of a growing number of local brewers who'd rather be a pony among the beer world's Clydesdales.
We really have no aspiration, frankly, of being a big guy. That's not why we got into this business. We want to stay small, stay connected to the consumers, and I want to stay connected to the beer that we're making.
To keep local beer buffs happy, nano breweries are pushing the boundaries with new flavors and resisting the urge to grow too fast to meet demand.
The people who do stay small and stay local, support local and stay with that whole craft mentality, everything's handmade, and stay out of big business, the big breweries and the macro breweries. It's, I give them credit. It's impressive.
Last year, 615 new breweries opened across the United States, bringing the total number to nearly 3,500 as more Americans develop a taste for locally brewed beer. Catherine Zeltner, EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you, Catherine. And she is considered one of America's greatest fiction writers. Flannery O'Connor, a strong defender of the Catholic faith, will appear on a new postage stamp. On the stamp, O'Connor is surrounded by peacock feathers. She raised peacocks at her family's farm in Georgia. O'Connor is known for her Southern Gothic novels and many works of short fiction. Her writing often reflecting her own Catholic faith, frequently examining questions of morality and ethics. The Flannery O'Connor stamp is a forever stamp. It's set to be released by the U.S. Postal Service June 5th. Well, we appreciate you being with us. Until tomorrow, we encourage you to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. You can watch again on EWTN's YouTube page. For the EWTN News Nightly team, I'm Brian Patrick as we leave you with moments from today's general audience of the Vatican with Pope Francis. Good night and God bless.